drops and lariats from the top rope. You can't cope. The effing wrestling podcast in the house. Now that's dope. Starcade and SummerSlam all rolled into one. Drop kick, sleeper holes, 1, 2, 3, done. Whole mics like Mean Gene or Gordon Soley. I'm Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with that Crockett trophy. So listen closely as we approach the final hour in an instant. Hands raised, crowds phase without the time limit. Effing wrestling podcast with that ultimate finish. Suplex, now you're ending. Yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the show. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? What's up? Welcome to another edition of Effing
Wrestling.
Case, what's up, homeboy?
Not much, JR. How you doing, good sir?
Can't complain, baby. Woo!
It has been a solid week of wrestling, if I may say so myself. And you know what? Another Grand Slam episode of AEW, which, come on, man, it's the best wrestling program out there right now, I gotta say. They just hit their 1 year anniversary.
Wrestling program?
Yeah.
It's the best. I mean, okay.
For having 1 year, for Dynamite being on the air for 1 year. This past Wednesday was Dynamite's 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
All the titles were on the line.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had all their main talent out there.
Yep.
And for being a fledgling company, they've built a lot of talent while maintaining the talent that came in with it. Like, I feel like Cody Rhodes has really become the star he was always meant to be, and also used this to propel himself very well, but already came in with a lot of momentum, and he's the face, man. He is the face of AEW. Yeah. I think the Bucks are really about to come into themselves in like being heels, being the Super Kit Party tag team heel group, maybe even the trifecta with Kenny Omega going back to the cleaner format.
Right, but
dominate.
But it's the more fun show. It's the more entertaining show. Yeah,
it's a throwback to different stories. Yeah,
it's the more entertaining show. Yes. They have to clean up some of the stuff though. I mean, some of the refereeing, some of the tag team refereeing is really bad. They do kind of
They've done a good job.
Let me finish. They do kind of big high spots and stuff for no reason. The match for no reason, and that causes the matches to be out of sync and kind of wonky finishes because they'll do crazy high spots but kick out from those, and I just don't understand it sometimes. But yes, I am more entertained by AEW. Yes, the wrestling is cleaner, the refereeing is cleaner in NXT by far. But yes, AEW is the better show. I'm not gonna deny that.
I don't know, man. I disagree. I agree that they have to get tighter with tag teams, but I think for the most part they have. Ever since FTR's come in and really forced the rules, I think they've gotten better across
those with the matches with FTR. Yeah,
I think the main culprits for that is the Lucha Bros. They're notorious for that across the board, and that's not like making up for it, but they are the ones who do the high spots that you mentioned, like especially Rey Fenix will come in.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of Young Bucks wrestling as well, of coming in of here's a spot more than there is the logistics for it because it looks cool. And it's that style. It's even called, I believe, like they call it Deadpool wrestling because it is so like self-referential to that. But I mean, that's New Japan as well. I mean, that's where they made their name from.
Yeah.
Is that era of fantasy of it's like in video games where you can get hit enough times and you'll just stagger because you're dazed, and that's kind of something that happens in wrestling, especially in Young Buck matches and New Japan matches. And I think that's one thing you're referencing is you have this moment of disbelief of how dazed is this wrestler to be able to have you get perched, set, and pounce and attack within the same moments.
And when I say high spots, yeah, I do mean that somewhat. But, okay, in the Moxley and Lance Archer match.
Yeah.
Archer
the main event from this past Wednesday.
Yes. Archer goes through a table, I believe, right?
He did DD. No.
Yes. Then gets back in. They get back in the ring, then goes through a paradigm shift also, and then kicks out. Like,
yeah. Well,
really?
All right.
Then he loses the match on a backslide.
I don't want to 180 this, but just because you mentioned Lance Archer, because he's a strange case in wrestling because he's a big guy. Because I'm not over with Lance Archer. I'm with you on this.
I'm just talking about the spot.
Oh no, absolutely,
spot,
absolutely.
It discredits the spot of him going through the table.
No, it does, but like,
his finisher.
I know, but it plays into a bigger thing of Lance Archer is a weird case of how do you build a monster in defeat constantly, because he's not at the spot to be world champion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's agreeing with you of going, hey man, I do not think Lance Archer is world champion material.
Yes, right.
Oh, I know what you're saying, but it's that weird thing of having. I get that, but you're trying to keep him looking strong and as a monster, though, right? I mean, that's the role he plays in the company. He's a beast. He's a monster. He comes in and kills everything.
He should be, yeah.
Well, no, but
they've done a poor job of building him up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Is he's this weird thing of having to keep him strong in defeat, and in doing so, because he has to lose, he's not going to beat Jon Moxley for the world title.
But how do they keep him strong by him kicking out of that stuff? But he's not smart and strong enough to kick out of a backslide. I mean,
well, no, I mean, it just falls into it. I mean, I'm not saying it's like the best thing in the world, but I'm just saying it is this decimation of. It's like the same thing we talked about with Cody Rhodes and getting squashed by Brody Lee all those weeks ago. It has more to do with Cody's for like 20 consecutive weeks defended the belt every week. That damage is going to be retained match after match after match, so Brody can come in fresh and just destroy him. Mm-hmm. You do this thing of going, hey, it's each move takes a bit out of him. You have him go through a DDT onto a table. You have him take the paradigm shift. You have him take Jon Moxley's. I don't know what the name of his new submission move is. I'm not. Am I saying it's the best book thing in the world? No, I'm not. Am I saying is it definitive?
I'm just saying they need to clean that kind of stuff up before it can be called the best.
Count. That's wrestling across the board, though. I mean, finishers mean nothing in wrestling nowadays across the board.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I think that's not just an AEW thing. I think that's wrestling in general. You know what I say? I say weak finishers need the F out of my wrestling.
I agree with that.
Because no, I agree with you. But again, I think it plays. I think that problem plays into a bigger issue with a character like. I agree with you. It's weird. As I want to. Every time I think about the issue, it gets bigger and bigger with AEW. They have such a stacked roster right now of very talented people, but almost not enough room to make them all grow right now. Yeah. You have to build a title by having people hold it. You have to have definitive reigns. And that goes with longevity, and that goes with storylines and story arcs. People have to have defenses. Jon Moxley has the misfortune of being the COVID champion. Like has empty arenas, so you don't get any pops for it. You don't have these proper builds for the audiences to pay off for his title wins. And you almost have to give pay-per-view style matches away on weekly television nowadays, it feels.
Yeah.
And I just agree. Lance Archer is nowhere near. I can list 5 people right now who could be world champion in AEW, and Lance Archer wouldn't even make the 10 people I want to list after the 5 people who could be champion.
Right.
He's just not there, but he's booked to be a monster. I don't see it. I like his finishing move.
I like it. I like Lance Archer. I just don't like what they've done with him so far.
I didn't like him in New Japan. I haven't liked him in anything I've seen in AEW. I see the character. They've given him Jake the Snake, which is a great mouthpiece to have.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's someone who needs a mouthpiece per se, but they're certainly giving him the rub. I don't want to say it's the same thing as when they gave Sean Spears Tully Blanchard, and it just did not pan out. But it's kind of seeing that way because Lance Archer's not world champion. He's not beaten that, but you need to keep him looking strong because he's a good sign from New Japan.
Yeah.
But again, it does play into that idea of what's a finisher if it doesn't finish a match.
Yeah. But the finisher is like, but there's a lot of little stuff that AEW, but they're well on their way. Shit, they're 1 year in. Into it.
1 year in.
So far ahead of what any expectations I thought they were going to
have. 1 year in,
I had for them, but like there's some stuff they got to clean. The refereeing, like even in the FTR that tag match, like when they were outside the ring, they had to be outside the ring for at least 40 seconds. Had to be. Had to
Yeah.
be. I mean that's the kind of that's the kind of stuff I like. That's like clean it up a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's still great. But
It's
you
still
can't
right.
say
It's
it
the
off. You
stories are
can't
there,
say
the
it.
characters are there. That's what gets me, man. Is I mean, take out. You also had Chris Jericho and MJF, who they're booking heel versus heel, which is almost it's harder to book heel versus heel than it is to book face versus face. I feel
Mhm.
because at least face versus face is it's two people of going. I respect you and I respect you, but we're gonna see who's the best.
Yeah.
And heel versus heel is like going, hey man, I think you're all right. I'm gonna try to stab you in the back the first chance I get. And
Mhm.
now you have Chris
It's gonna
Jericho
be
fighting
fun, man.
arguably Chris Jericho 20 years ago,
Right.
like in MJF, and just how they talk to one another, the way they cut promos back and forth with one another.
And
You
then,
almost
and as
see
far as on the microphone, MJF might even be more superior
I
than
think so.
Chris was at 24
I think
on the
MJF's
mic.
the best talker in wrestling right now. I know that's been said, and we've covered that back and forth a number of times.
You think who is? Who'd you say?
I think MJF's one of the best. I think he's the best talker
MJF
in
is one of
wrestling
the
right
best.
now.
Yeah. He's one of the best
I'd say right now no one can
for
because he
sure.
improvs. Like all that
Mhm.
stuff is just either
Improv
like
very
I don't know if
well.
he
Improv very well.
pre-writes or if it's all top of his head or whatnot, but that's all him, and he's just
Hmm.
he knows his character so through and so well that watching him is like watching any great performance. He
Yeah.
just happens to do it in a scarf
Mhm.
and knee pads and a onesie, and he wrestles,
Right.
and that's about it.
Speaking of microphones, Eddie Kingston is gold on the microphone, right?
Oh man, say what you want about the ending. It led to that awesome the end of the John Moxley Archer mats might have
Mhm.
not fit for you, but it led to Eddie Kingston coming to the rescue,
Yeah.
which led to him cutting another brilliant promo. I'm it's so weird, man. Eddie Kingston has such a legacy and he's worked with everyone. He has a story with everybody of all these people we know and have heard of, but I've never heard of Eddie Kingston until now.
Right. It's
And I
unfortunate. It's
and I
crazy,
feel like
right?
and I feel like that's
Yeah.
such a disservice to him. I don't know where he's
Right.
been or what he's wrestled on. I've heard about so much indie stuff, and I've you think you know something, even like scratch the surface well,
Hmm.
and then you don't hear about certain people who've apparently been journeyman with everyone you do know. It's weird, it's
Right.
strange.
I love it, man. I love it because the story is real. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they were on the road. They did all come in together. They were on the roads together,
yeah.
and it's real. Like this shit's real, and you got that little realism in wrestling is good, man. I love it.
Oh man, it's what's making not to hop over. I would like to keep over with AEW, but it's what's making Roman Reigns feel so good right now.
Yeah,
After so many
yeah,
years of stagnation of trying to smile and be the face and be the good
yeah.
guy, he's finally breaking off and being
I
he's
love
the
it.
heel, but he's not like the evil heel or the vicious heel. He's just
Right.
the aforementioned one. I'm finally taking the reins of what my career is.
Like this is where my career should be. I
Yeah.
should be this
I'm
tribal
I'm,
chief.
I'm the tribal chief.
Like
The
I
Rock's
should be the head of this Samoan family in
yeah.
wrestling. I'm gonna take my place right now.
Yeah.
I love this shit. I love it.
And yeah, dude, it just feels very real every time he does anything. The rivalry he has with is it
Jay.
is it Jey Uso right now
Yeah.
is putting them both over, man. Jay
Yeah.
really feels like his own wrestler. I it's gonna be weird when Jimmy comes back if they reform the because I want him to reform the Usos with
I want them to
Roman.
all get together though. I want all the Samoans together.
All one big giant
All
Samoan
one big in the
faction.
bloodline. And they're all called the
Oh,
bloodline.
if you recall our factions episode,
Factions episode. We're gonna have to do another factions episode.
that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I want to rebook. Our next one has to be. Hey, spoiler alert, audience! The next one's going to be when we do who we think should be champions.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun if we just take every belt and go, who do we think should be the current holder and why?
That's cool.
That'd be fun. That might be
That's
next
what's up.
week. Who
Might
knows?
do that. That might do that.
in.
NXT was a good show. NXT was good.
Dude, NXT, like you
Good
said,
wrestling.
NXT has really good ring work.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're leaving money on the table, not having Cameron Grimes be a champion yet.
It's coming.
It's
coming.
in a North American champion all day long.
Yeah, it's coming.
And then up to the main. You know what the sad thing is? Cameron Grimes is a perfect European champion.
Perfect.
Think about him. I mean,
100%.
and that's a retired belt. It
Yeah.
hasn't been featured in years, but
Mhm.
that belt was around for someone like Cameron Grimes to be champion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the European champion. It's like the third tier belt.
Yep.
It meant something. It could get you
Great.
like first match or like third match on
Great. It's
pay-per-view.
great for kind of not a gimmick. It's great for a gimmick.
Yeah,
You know what I
great
mean?
for a gimmick.
Great for a gimmick. Sure.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
But yeah.
But something else from NXT
Yep.
that was really big. They brought back my favorite WCW pay-per-view event of all time. Halloween Havoc's coming back.
Hell yeah.
Being hosted by
That's
Shotzi
what's up.
Blackheart.
That's your girl.
I got a thing for scary women. What can I say? I can't help
Nothing
myself.
wrong with that.
And she has green hair and the devil horns on her helmet. And she's all tattooed up. She's
getting
badass.
herself over, man. She's getting herself
She's
over.
a good host for it, man. She really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I'm a little weird though, because it's strange. Because NXT's been doing the WCW ones. They had Great American Bash.
Mm-hmm.
It feels weird for NXT to do this because Fiend is the perfect character for something like this. And I just don't feel like he would show up at NXT for this, but I can see.
No. He ain't gonna say nothing. He ain't gonna. He should, but I don't think he'll ever. I don't think he'll see NXT. I don't think he'll ever do anything.
No,
like
I
that.
mean, because it wouldn't fit anywhere because he would just be showing up. But
He should though. He should be just terrorizing all of them. He should
Dude,
just terrorize all of them.
I love the Fiend. That's why I got into wrestling. Is this just giant character, and Bray Wyatt's playing it great as in the Firefly Funhouse. But if I could just rebook anything, I'd want to rebook the Fiend. They've already messed it up, so the Fiend shouldn't care about the title.
They're trying with Alexa Bliss. I'm really digging that.
I'm fine with that, man. Like this whole spin when they're both hitting the Sister Abigail, and I don't quite know how she's going to come in with it, but it's just working for me. I'm here to see what it is. You know me. I'm a fan of long-term storytelling,
right?
And that's what this has been. It's just like there's been hints. We're working through it. We're in these early stages, and we're finally about to just see a payoff of something that's been talked about for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Something else to talk about in wrestling news.
What's that?
We'll get back to this. There's something to go back to. Small little addendum. Hiro Ibushi has won the A block of the G1 Climax. So we gotta see who wins the B block, and then we'll know who's going to go on to, I think, most likely face Naito.
Wow.
And so that should be pretty cool. And this is Ibushi's third time getting to the finals in a row, and that makes him the first man to ever do that.
Damn. That dude's incredible, man.
Dude, for his age and the
That
shape
dude's
he's in
incredible.
and the moves he hits and like the fact he's in New Japan where everything just about like is about decimating your face and your neck, he's uber talented. But I'm sorry, that was getting off. I want to get back to this.
No wrong
Because
with
we're getting to Halloween Havoc, and they introduced something else that's a strange stipulation to bring back because it was only featured a long time ago in WCW,
right.
And that is the spin the wheel, make the deal.
Spin the wheel, make the deal, baby.
Jared, do you remember anything about the spin the wheel, make the deal?
I mean, I remember it being really bad.
It did not go over well.
I do remember that, and that's about it.
Spin the wheel, make the deal. So they've brought that back to get like all the major rivalries something really to do.
Yeah,
and it seems to be a repeat for a lot of the last NXT matches, I feel. So I'm not quite sure about that myself. 1 second, pulling something up right here. So the last time I think it was done was 92 Halloween Havoc for WCW when they did spin the wheel, make the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That is absolutely crazy. I mean, I'm glad they're bringing it back though.
It's going to be a fun stipulation. I hope it works well. I know what Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest are using it for their match, which is for the North American title. I believe Io Shirai and Candice LeRae are using it for their match for the NXT Women's title. I think that's the only 2 times it's being used.
Yeah.
There's like so many options. There's like ladder match. There's blindfold match.
What'd you say?
There's like so many different weird stipulations for it. There's a blindfold. there's the First Blood, there's Inferno. There's so many just different weird options for it.
And Sting, I remember Sting went up against somebody in a stipulation match. It was like a glove or hold on, something. The coal miner's glove match. That's what it was.
No, I think that was the Rockers. I know that from
Nah, Sting.
Al
Look,
Snow.
hold on. Let me Google it up. No, I'm pretty sure I'm right. Hold on.
Yeah, hit me with that, man.
Sting, I'm pretty sure because he beat
Ricky Morton and Ricky Morton and Al Snow had a very famous coal miners.
Jake Roberts. Sting beat Jake Roberts in the coal miners glove match.
Oh, it's Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal.
Yep.
Cool.
Halloween Havoc 92. Yep. Sting beat Jake Roberts. Ron Simmons beat the Barbarian.
Nice.
Ricky Steamboat beat Brian Pillman. Vader beat Nikita Koloff.
So here's the stipulations that are on the NXT Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal.
Okay.
They have, as you just mentioned, coal miners glove match, a trick or street fight, blindfold match, a casket match, which is just perfect for Halloween Havoc.
Yeah.
A Chambers of Horror match, a Biker's Chain match, a Buried Alive match, a Devil's Playground match, a Boiler Room Brawl, Shotzi's Choice, and a Weapons Wild match.
It's gonna be a fun show, man.
Yeah, those are all gonna be a part of it, man.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I'm hoping for a very big set. I'm hoping for a crazy spectacle. I want a graveyard. I want the giant blow up demon. I want a big blow up pumpkin with Halloween Havoc. Right. Looks like it's cut into it.
Yeah.
I mean, this was my favorite WCW pay-per-view event. Finally coming back. Let's make a big deal out of it, man. Let's make it look spooky.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
I think Rhea Ripley has a match out there as well, and poor Finn Balor, poor NXT. Maybe they'll figure out what to do with their world champion. Yeah. I guess there'll be a world title match. Maybe there'll be a new.
They're doing that tournament for the number one for the title or something, right? I do believe.
I think that's at AEW. They're doing a number one contender title. I don't know what's going on in NXT right now for their title. Yeah, does AEW is doing a bracket tournament for a number one contender shot at John Moxley.
Oh yeah, that's right. I got them mixed up. That's right.
And that one looks all thrown for Kenny Omega to win.
Yeah,
the guy's just known for tournament wins. So I mean, he's like I think the first person to win he's the first person to win the G1 Climax back to back, or he's the first non-Japanese wrestler to win it back to back, I believe.
Oh, okay. Word up. So look, this week we got a guest waiting in the waiting room.
He's been very patient.
Very patient. So this week
we told him 5 minutes, and I don't know how long.
Yeah. We've been going almost 30. Cool. So this week we mentioned it before. I had the idea of wrestling. You know what I mean? Sometimes gets a bad rap. You know what I mean? So it's lost a lot of fans, or people won't watch it because they hear bad stuff about it or whatever. So here at FN Wrestling, I wanted to do our part to, you know what I mean, gain some new fans.
To bring expand somebody's horizon.
Yeah, you know what I mean? To bring some more eyes to the product, you know what I mean? Bring some more eyes on it. Yeah. And let them see and let them decide. You know what I mean? So without further ado, FN Wrestling brings you Making a Mark.
What if I told you that there are people who don't watch wrestling? People who can't suspend their disbelief. People who are ashamed to say they watch wrestling. We are here to change that. We are making a mark.
Isaiah, welcome to FN Wrestling.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. No, thanks for doing this, man. Thanks for being a part of it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking the time and coming down to discuss some FN Wrestling.
Yeah, man. Thanks for opening your mind again, because so Isaiah, give your backstory about wrestling, about what I mean. What
do you know about it? What
you know? What you know?
Because you watched a little bit years ago, right? We were talking about that a couple of days ago.
Yeah, so I grew up watching it. Like, when I was like 6, I saw Ric Flair in North Carolina. So like, I used to be a pretty big fan, but then
Jealous of that, man.
yeah, but I kind of like fell off of it because like after the Attitude Era ended, I was just kind of like over it. I don't know. I just couldn't really get into it because they lost the edginess to it.
I'm right there with you. Like right when Stone Cold Steve Austin shook Vince McMahon's hand, and I forget I think that was WrestleMania 15, but I'm probably wrong about that. But right when Stone Cold Steve Austin shook Vince McMahon's hand and ended the Attitude Era, I kind of just also went, I'm kind of over this. This is strange.
For me, it was a little bit after that. It was like after John Cena basically became like Super Cena. Like when he first started showing the signs of it, that's when I was kind of done because John Cena used to be like one of my favorite superstars. And so after that, I was just kind of like, yeah, because I only like the heels anyway. I don't really like the good guys.
Right.
So
attaboy.
Yeah. So after that,
wrestling is all about the heels when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah. But yeah, so after that, I was just kind of over it. And like you said, when Stone Cold shook his hand, and it's like, what's going on here? Why is he doing this?
What was it? The brand split was kind of my first breakaway from it because I didn't get the channel that SmackDown went to. And so I wasn't going to be able to see some of my favorites. And I was like, oh, I like The Undertaker went to SmackDown, which was on some channel I did not get. I cannot remember which one it was. So I didn't get that channel. Right. So I can't see The Undertaker. I'm kind of out. This isn't for me.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And
we're back.
That's cool, man. I'm glad. So you've already got a little piece. So you know about wrestling. You know what it's about. You know what I mean, and all that good stuff.
Understand the world of it and the concept.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So now, like, we want to get you back into it. We want to get you to pick a show. You can pick a show of the 4 main shows: Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AEW. Are you familiar with AEW at all? Like, do you know who runs it? All this kind of stuff, just from what you hear me talk about at work.
Sort of, kind of, yeah. I think that's the one that has Orange Cassidy on it, right?
That it does.
Look at,
that is the one with Orange Cassidy.
That is the one with Orange Cassidy.
That dude's entertaining from like clips I've seen of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's pretty great.
Yeah, he's real good.
He could easily be a TNT world champion. Easily. And let me tell you, when you start watching more AEW, if that's the one you choose, Isaiah, you'll see Orange Cassidy being great, being championship material.
He's great. I mean, it'll totally discredit a world championship. I think.
I didn't say world. I said TNT. I said TNT.
TNT champion. I could see
not world champion material.
Okay, yeah, not world champion, but TNT. I could roll with that.
I feel like the more gimmicky guys can get that belt.
Okay.
It will keep it will keep the world title lights. It will keep the sanctity of the world title there, while still having these guys who are ridiculously over. It's like the same thing with I don't know. It's like a belt for Rusev. That's not the 24/7 title. Like it's like
24/7 title. Get the F out of my wrestling.
Good. For a second there, I thought you were going to defend it. Yeah, Isaiah, there's this belt in Raw and SmackDown that's called the 24/7 title. It looks disgusting because it's
the worst belt you'll ever see in your life. You remember R-Truth?
Yeah.
R-Truth, he's the 24/7 champion.
R-Truth is great.
He's great at it. He's
great.
Perfect for that title, for sure.
Like, for something I really despise in wrestling, it's held by someone I have such high regard for.
Yeah.
Because he's a gimmick wrestler.
Hey, R-Truth's a good worker. He can wrestle.
Yeah.
He can. But man, when he's being funny, he's even better.
Yeah, definitely.
He's entertaining.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's all we want. We want you to be entertained and open your mind and give the time into just watching the show and just ask questions about it. We'll get you back on next week. See what you thought about the show or whatever for the week. You know what I mean?
If I had to choose like one of the newer guys that I thought was pretty interesting, it'd probably be Roman Reigns. He seems like
SmackDown. Yeah, they're doing great.
He's got a good story going on right now, man.
His whole kind of like persona is pretty interesting to me.
Yeah. And right now they're pushing him
He's
as
a-
like the uber strong heel. He's
like
he's a
Samoan. He's
universal
like the
champion.
Samoan leader now. Like it's good
Okay.
shit
Yeah.
going on right
That's
now.
what's up.
They're really building him. Dude, I feel like maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but we'll get Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania
It might be
at
coming.
some point.
It might be coming for sure.
They're gonna wait until the union audience is back.
Yeah.
That's
Is
a
this
money
before
match.
or after The Rock runs for president?
Well, I mean, it's gonna
He
be.
could.
He's
and
gonna do
would
the
have a good chance
debates
to win.
while doing this.
That
That's
dude,
what's gonna be.
that dude is so popular.
Well, no, that's gonna be his campaign trail. Is he's gonna do this everywhere he goes and does Raw or does SmackDown. He's gonna do a presidential debate and rally. It's gonna be really great.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Word up. So so which show you think you want to choose, or do you want to? What you think?
I think I'll like watch them all like the first week, just to sample. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I don't really, yeah, I don't.
That.
I mean, shit, that's ambitious. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. That's a lot of wrestling, yo.
I mean, because it's like one show of each per week, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of your pick. It just kind of our main idea was like the guest who comes on, our Mark, who's being made, would pick one and kind of follow the plot lines for like say 4 weeks, like say the course of a month, and see if by that time the plot lines have enticed them to keep watching, or if they want to go, if they still like wrestling now, if they want to go try the other products.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I'm not necessarily sure about what plot lines are going on in any of them.
Well,
I don't want to like discredit any of them by like picking.
I'll tell you what.
Like one that and then not giving another one a shot. So
right.
I think I'm like gonna look at like
go with NXT and AEW.
Okay.
Just go with both of those.
Yeah, those are your best.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do that, and then I'll pick whichever one I like the best out of them.
And they both have a very strong YouTube presence. Yeah. So like, because AEW has a YouTube channel, you can pretty much find highlights for their entire match every week from there. Yeah. I was watching highlights this morning at work. I mean, before work.
And you said your brother Isaiah, your brother is a wrestling fan, right?
Yeah, like he
has the network, so you can catch some NXT on the network.
Yeah.
Okay. So
absolutely good.
Yeah, and so AEW and NXT, we'll get you back on next week, and we'll see what you think about it, man.
And NXT would be really good because, like we were just saying, JR, they're doing they're building up to their bid next pay-per-view event. Their bid, which are takeovers. Their big pay-per-view events, Isaiah, are called takeovers, and they're having takeover Halloween Havoc in a few weeks, right?
Yeah.
And it's this show that has this stipulation Uber thing called spin the wheel, make a deal. And wherever it's this wheel, the wrestler spins it, and wherever the ticker stops, you have to fight that type of match. And me and Jay ran them off earlier. Like there's a cast it match style. There's a blindfold match, a buried alive match, a boiler room match. I mean, it's just all these different stipulations. And stipulations is the subject of this week's episode, isn't it, JR?
Look at, man, I swear, Chase, you are a professional, sir. What you just did, that transition was seamless.
You know what? It's almost like I watch people do this all day long for a living.
There you go. You go. But yes, stipulations this week. So we're talking about some match stipulation. And since we brought you on to be our Making the Mark this week, we're also going to have you on to talk about some of your favorite match stipulations.
Yeah, man. And this could be a fun way for you to go, that sounds neat. That sounds cool. What was that? What is this? And, if something sounds interesting, stop us and we'll give a backstory.
Yep.
The best.
So I'll just start off. Look, so I'll throw one out there. One of my favorites, just from all time, because it's a good strong showing your good wrestling skills and holds and maneuvers. A good old fashioned submission match.
Okay.
I've always loved a good old fashioned submission match.
What always shows you who your technical wrestlers are. Like another way to phrase those is an I quit match.
Or an I quit match.
Yeah. That's another good way. I mean, and actually those are different. Actually, let me take that back, because you can beat someone to the point of going, I quit. Right. I quit.
Right.
Normally, you most get them in the submission bit.
Definitely.
But I agree with that, man. Because what was it? Chris Benoit was great at those. Bret Hart was great at those. Pretty much every wrestler that had
Stone Cold, of course. I mean, yes.
Stone Cold for just taking a beating, though.
Ugh.
and giving a beating.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so yeah, submission, good old submission matches, I quit matches. Yeah.
know what I like, and this is going to go for the far gimmick, and I've never seen it work well outside of the one time that's popping into my mind.
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania 7.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jake the Snake Roberts versus the model Rip Martel. Now building up to this, all right, the model Rip Martel, well, he was a model, and he would come out with this little spray bottle of perfume, and he would just spray the audience because they were swine and they smelled.
Okay.
At some point, he had hit Jake in the eye with it and had blinded Jake Roberts in one eye. And he's rocking around. Jake Roberts is rocking around wearing this like solid white contact lens to go, I'm blind. So they've built this up where Jake Roberts and Rip Martel are going to have this match at WrestleMania 7, this big blow-off match at the biggest show of the year. What year was WrestleMania? Jared, can you look up real quick what year WrestleMania 7 was at?
Go ahead, keep talking. I got you.
While you do that, thank you very much, man. So it's this thing where they decided to do the blindfold match so no one can see. Jake Roberts cuts this amazing promo that opens it, land of the blind and the one-eyed man can see. So they get in the ring and they've decided to put these bags over there. 91. Because I was thinking 92, because if it fell in 92, that's the best year WWE has. That's the best classic year of wrestling.
Right.
But this is 91, so another different story entirely. So they've wrestling with bags over their heads and they can't find each other. And they're just shimmying around the ring, just trying to figure out where the other one is. So they're holding onto their ropes and just doing these short little burst walks. And Jake Roberts figures out how to find Rip Martel for this fight. He just starts pointing around the ring and the audience is going, no! Or, yeah! For him. Until he's it's almost becomes hot, hotter, cold, hot, on fire. And he finally just attacks. And it's one of those dumb matches that I remember taking it so seriously as a kid watching it.
So good.
And now I look back going, this is kind of okay, strange, but it works for me because I go with the fantasy and the reality of wrestling. Mm-hmm. You have two pros who sell it well. You have Jake Roberts who just made the match mean something. One of the best. It just worked well for me. So for that alone, I can't say it's one of my favorites because I do think it's dumb and you need the right opponents to sell it. But again, wrestling's a beautiful dance. You need the right two people to do it.
100%.
To carry off the steps right. But Jake Roberts versus the model Rip Martel at WrestleMania 7 always will stand with me as just one of my favorite gimmick matches that I ever saw in that blindfold match.
Word up.
I just always dug it.
That's pretty cool though.
What you got, Isaiah? You got one that comes to mind, Isaiah?
Well, no, it had that great idea, man, that wrestling gets when it's at its best. There's no title on the line. They're not anywhere near the main event. But that's that match that I remember from that event is going, oh, hey, WrestleMania 7's Rip Martel versus Jay Roberts. They're blindfolded. Mm-hmm. It's really dumb. It's kind of stupid. It's a bit short.
Right.
But I remember that it's you have this great bit where they point for one another. It ends in the DDT. Sweet. No. I hope Lionston can remember that.
Well, I've always liked ladders, tables, and chairs matches.
TLC,
baby.
I've always really liked anything that Edge was in, anything related to Edge.
The superstar.
Yeah, because the matches he was in, he just didn't care. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude,
he was just regular.
He threw himself into him and cut his career a little bit short doing it, but he always sold it very well, man. He was just the guy for it. And great trifecta of matches of Edge, Christian, Hardy Boys, and Dudleys that really made that match synonymous.
Yep.
What was it? They made kind of a weaker pay-per-view event off of it that never quite lived up to it, but those three, man. Those three matches were something else.
Definitely.
What
else is there? You got any more that you can think of?
This is a throwback. I don't think they've done this recently.
Yeah.
I like the Punjabi prison match.
Wow. Okay.
They did bring that one back not too long ago.
Maybe 4 or 5.
How do you?
4 or 5 years ago.
Oh,
Maybe
I don't want to
three,
think.
maybe
Okay.
even 3-4 years ago, yo.
I like thinking it was 3 or 4 years ago, a lot more than 5 years ago. But it
Yeah,
was
they
when
brought the
Jinder
great
Mahal was
Khali back.
champion.
Oh
You know,
wow, okay.
Yeah, this guy named
Yeah.
Jinder Mahal was champ. He was WWE World Champion. He had put in the work, man. He was this weird jobber, part of this group named 3-Man Band. They were a boy band joke, and then he had disappeared for a while. Put in the work, came back completely and utterly jacked, like full on physique change. Like if you look up before and afters of him, it's this guy. He didn't do
Yeah, he did the work, for
steroids,
sure.
Yeah.
but he did something because it's like doesn't even look like the same person.
Yeah, he came back and he had a Punjabi match, and it was that's
Yeah,
crazy
him
that you
versus
mentioned that.
Randy
That's
Orton,
cool.
and I think it ended with the
Great Khali
Khali
came in.
coming out.
Yeah, hell yeah. Another one of my favorites is Iron Man matches.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
Loved fucking Iron Man
Cannot
matches.
compete
Loved
with an
Iron Man matches. Just because the 60-minute match was, you know what I mean? Just God. Ric Flair,
And-
Steamboat, you know what I mean? Some of the best matches you'll ever see. were
Well,
Iron
Shawn
Man
versus
matches,
Brett,
in my
WrestleMania
opinion.
12. I
Say
mean, that's
what?
not, Shawn versus Brett,
Shawn
WrestleMania
versus Brett,
12.
yes.
Just this
Goodness
utter
gracious.
rivalry, pure hatred.
So good, man. Just because it just showed off the endurance and wrestling, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Selling your spot, selling each other's spots and everything. Like
it's
I've always
stipulation
preferred.
and always been close to that. Sorry to cut you off, Jared, but it plays into that Iron Man matches, but 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah.
I've always liked those where it's just that build. So wait. Well, Iron Man matches or last man standing matches have the point system?
It's definitely not last man standing because it's just. I mean, 2 out of 3 falls is 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The best of 7 matches or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's just Iron Man matches are, you know what I mean? Just like hour-long matches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or isn't it like? Because what is it?
Or maybe the most pins
within that hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that's how Brett and Shawn did it, where they did the whole thing of like, hey man, let's do this entire hour where no one has a pin or a submission
Right.
until the very end, I believe.
That's what's up.
And it was just nutty.
But yeah, I've
That's
always
crazy.
loved Iron Man matches for sure.
No other personal favorite, all time, hands down. I love this. War Games. Just the name of it.
Yeah. War Games was the shit. War Games.
I
was
mean,
cool.
you would have
It was
2
fun to
rings
watch, man. They were always
side by
fun to watch.
side.
Is that
Surrounded
the
by
one
a
with
cage.
that's the one with the cage and they all come out in the corners, right?
Like the 2
No,
rings.
that's Elimination Chamber.
That's Elimination
Okay.
Chamber.
So it's pretty similar to that. This one has 2 rings. They're side by side, and there's a double cage lowered on top of it. And there's multiple teams that have members. Sometimes it's like groups of 5 against groups of 4. Sometimes it's like 2 groups of 3. Sometimes it's 3 groups of 4. It's like different varieties depending on the group size and what the storyline's been. But on just different minute variables, I think it's 5 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes, another opponent will run in and join the fray. And it's just such a neat.
Yeah, they were fun, man. War Games
Some of my
matches were a
favorites.
lot of fun. Like
Sounds pretty cool.
I love Royal Rumbles and Battle Royals. Just the
Battle
whole
Royals
over the
was
top
always a
thing,
lot,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like love Battle Royals and Royal Rumbles. They were
I
all
like watching those matches, and I'm just like, okay, so me and my dad, when we used to watch it, we would always speculate. So it's
Yeah.
like you got this big dude, right?
Right.
And obviously this big dude could just throw these little guys off, but these 2 little guys team up to get the big dude.
Always.
You know how it
Or
works.
it'd be like 4 people teaming up to get the big giant dude out of the ring.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah. Love that shit. Definitely. Love Royal Rumbles.
I was going to mention it, man, because it's you get the most story out of them in a really cool way. What was it? Going back to it, we always reference the greatest Royal Rumble of all time is the 92 one.
92
You have
was
Ric
the best
Flair
year
in
ever.
at number 2. It's for the vacate. It's like the first time it's for the vacated world title too. So like everyone has a stake in it. You have all your major players there, and then you also have some of your B and C players, and everyone has a shot for it. And it's that really cool idea of, man, the big prize is up for it. And Bobby Heenan on commentary. It just kind of sells this idea of the grandiose. Know what match I've always hated though, or in stipulation wise, Inferno.
Yeah.
Fire matches, Inferno matches, because I get the spectacle of it. I get the it's just a little too fake for me.
Yeah,
and I know it's not fake. They set Kane got set on fire. Whenever they've done these, they've actually had people do it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just too much of that suspension of.
But it's too much. Yeah. Like, come on, man. Come on.
We don't need this, man. This is a little. I get the whole like, look how extreme it's reached. Of we're gonna set someone on fire at the end of this match. But I go, no, you're not though.
You're not.
Out on
not
fire.
Gonna do that.
You don't have to put the fire out.
Right.
This has gotten to that weird place of we're not quite a sport, but we're not quite fantasy either.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
I feel like you have to make it either one or the other.
Yeah.
You know, like you either have to be fantasy or you have to be sport, because it definitely should always, I feel like, be fantasy more so, because you have these guys who are called superstars, right?
Yeah.
At least in WWE.
Yeah.
And so like you have these extreme characters that you kind of need to promote in an extreme way, or it just starts not making sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I mean, like you got like freaking this dude Undertaker, right? He's a dead person, quote unquote, and it's like he comes back from the dead. That doesn't happen.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen in real life.
It's real.
You know? It's real.
Undertaker is fucking real.
Right, and it's real.
I'll agree with you. They're all characters, but the Undertaker is real.
Yeah.
And if you just, I don't want to worry you, man. You're new to wrestling. If you besmirch him anymore, he might appear.
Exactly. Watch your damn mouth.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying, though, right?
Definitely.
Like,
100%.
It's
100%.
There's a realm. It's that step. It's one step above reality.
Right. Yeah.
In all ways, and it needs to remain there.
Like
but
it needs to make it. It needs to be as if it's like it's that whatever they're selling in the real world, right? Like these people are like pseudo gods among men in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if a normal person fought a superstar, they would just get buried in one punch type of thing.
Right. Same way with like you had in the Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior era, where these people are like you said, with we are gods among men, written in the stars, were just these huge monumental figures, and that's how they were depicted and played as. And you're right, that's how they should be. It's like watching a live action Marvel movie in a way,
right? Yeah,
and done right, you do see like, look at the forces of evil fight the forces of good. But to get back to
but yeah, some more matches. Just steel cage matches in general.
It's such a classic.
It's such a classic.
And it's such a good blow off match of like, it's me and you, and we're trapped, and there's
nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Me and you.
And the heel's been really smarmy and cheated.
Yes.
You know, if they've had run-ins, if they've like had a lot of weapons thrown into them,
that's the one where you have to climb over the cage, right?
There's a few styles.
There's a couple
of and then like Hell in the Cell is the one where you got to go through the door.
No, because there's a few different ways. There's certain cage matches. Even if you can climb to the top, but it's still a 1-2-3 victory.
Oh,
Won't quite win. And those are like big blow-offs. Like Cody Rhodes and Wardlow had a huge one on Dynamite a few months back, and it ended with this huge spot where Cody Rhodes climbed to the top of it and did a bat flip from the top of the cage onto Wardlow. Yeah. And it was incredible to see. And then he climbed back on top of it and did this huge celebration. Like, just don't fall right now, man. Everything looks cool as long as you don't fall.
Yeah.
And it looked pretty cool the whole way.
It's crazy. Steel cage matches, I've always loved them.
Hell in a Cell, sticking on it. Because you're right, Isaiah. Hell in a Cell also ends in pinfall.
Okay.
Because Mick Foley nearly died in '99.
Right.
When he at his King of the Ring ones. That's the one where it's him versus Undertaker. And they've already gone outside of the ring, outside of the cage even. And they've climbed on top of it. And Undertaker you've probably seen the
yeah.
You were watching around that time. Undertaker gives him the choke slam off.
Yeah.
And he goes through the cage and you just sit there. I remember watching that as a kid going,
Yo,
a man die.
It's crazy.
do you guys remember the promos from the DVDs where they were like, "Don't try this at home"?
Don't
But they would
try this
always
at
show
home.
that clip of Mick Foley falling off the top.
I'm just being thrown off. Going, yeah, don't worry, I'm not gonna be able to find
Like,
a.
I'm not gonna try that shit at home at all.
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I remember. I can't remember what event it was at. I think it was an In Your House Bad Blood. It was one of the In Your House that had like one of those very variety violent names WWE was throwing at everything was still WWF. But it was Kane versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in a First Blood match. And First Blood matches, when you see how easily people can bleed and blade,
First Blood
matches kind of lose their appeal when you go, man, you just fell off the ring and cut yourself. Shouldn't it be easy to do this? Right. But I remember, because, if you guys remember, Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestled in just solid black trunks. He had his boots, he had his knee pads, he had trunks. That was it. No. And Kane had a giant onesie singlet with his arm exposed. And I was like, all right, well, this is already unfavorable for my favorite wrestler at the time. Right. And when I'm watching this is 100% legit real to me.
Of course.
When Stone Cold Steve Austin leaves, he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Kane is a disfigured monster that's just hanging out in the boiler rooms of all of these places. I'm not really trying to think. I'm not trying to connect A to B. I just know A and B exist.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I remember watching it as a kid. We've rented this pay-per-view event. And Kane walks out. And he's in his normal get-up, his normal costume. But now there's another sleeve that goes all the way to his hand. And the only thing exposed on his entire body in a First Blood match is his left bare hand. And his suit's already blood red to begin with. Yeah. And I just freak out, man. I throw a tantrum.
Yeah.
Real bad.
That's good stuff, man.
Dude, it's one of those
stipulation
when
matches.
wrestling did what wrestling's supposed to do. It drove a dramatic response out of me. It's what we want to see out of you, Isaiah. When you start watching, you become a mark out of making a mark for wrestling.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be cool, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And just rapid fire. My bad. Just some of these stipulations that what I mean. I just remembering like parking lot brawl matches were always good.
Just had a great one of those with Proud and Powerful and the Best Friends on an episode of Dynamite.
Survivor Series was good. I tell you what, though, after last year's Money in the Bank, I don't give a damn about that anymore.
Hey,
Money
in the Bank,
Otis,
Money in the Bank,
and Money in the Bank. Get that F out of my wrestling. For sure.
Hell yeah.
Word up. But yeah, that's just a couple more just throw out there. And there's so many more we didn't touch on.
No, man, it just goes on and on. We can ramble and rant about them all. I mean, even down to just Falls Count Anywhere matches. Yep. Anywhere down to
like Texas. Remember Eddie Guerrero and did the Texas Bull Rope match?
Yeah.
With their tall die collar, but you gotta touch all four corners.
Yeah. With JBL.
JBL. Yeah,
man.
Holy shit!
And he busted open. It's when JBL beat him for the title because JBL touched the title, touched the final corner first as he jumped over him. Another one to mention that needs to always come up if you talk about stipulations. Yep. Rick Steiner, Buff Badwell, Judy Badwell on a forklift match. There, effing wrestling mentioned the dumbest. One of the 10 dumbest things WCW ever did.
Well, there we go, folks. That's a perfect way to end this episode today, this week.
Isaiah, we look forward to hearing all your thoughts next week.
We'll get with you next week.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank all y'all for joining us this week. Chase, thank you, sir.
Always
good. Always good to talk to you about a little bit of it. That was awkward as shit. Look.
What happened?
We both trying to close it out, but that was like, hey, look, how about this? That was a great episode of
Effin' Wrestling.
elbow drops and lariats from the top rope. You can't cope. The effing wrestling podcast in the house. Now that's dope. Starcade and SummerSlam all rolled into one. Drop kick, sleeper hose, 1, 2, 3, done. Whole mics like Mean Gene or Gordon Soley. I'm Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with that Crockett trophy. So listen closely as we approach the final hour in an instant. Hands raised, crowds phase without the time limit. Effing wrestling podcast with that ultimate finish. Suplex, now you end it. Yes!